Right, okay, moving on to this question. If a person drinks alcohol, why is this question important? Well, many people have said this includes the fast. If you drink alcohol, that your salah is not accepted for 40 days. And they rely on some hadith, and some people have said that the same applies to the fast. So if Muslims have drunk alcohol, or many scholars have included drugs with that. Now, unfortunately, drugs are very common in the Muslim community. They're not uncommon, put it like that. It's a shame, it's a tragedy, it's a cancer within our communities, but it is there. And the truth is, many Muslims do take drugs. It's a sad reality. We make dua for them. I think it completely destroys their lives. That said, should they fast? And does this apply? The answer is their fast is absolutely fine. And they should fast. This does not apply. And this hadith in and of itself is actually unacceptable. Okay, let me tell you what this hadith says. And you're going to be able to know that this hadith is nonsense as soon as you hear it. The hadith says, Man sharib al-khamar wa sakir. Whosoever drank alcohol and became intoxicated, lam tuqbal lahu salatun arba'ina sabahan. For 40 days, I mean it says mornings, but it means days, his salah will not be accepted. Wa in mata dakhal an-nar. And if he dies, he'll go to the hellfire. This is what the hadith says, yeah. So it's a belief that you'd actually go to hell, even though, first of all, most of this ummah, Ash'aris and so on, we cannot even base beliefs on khabru ahad. Okay, we're not even allowed to base any beliefs on just isolated narrations. Okay, so this person will go to the hellfire. Then the Prophet says if he does tawbah, then Allah will accept him. But if he goes back to alcohol, then, you know, the same thing. His salah won't be accepted for 40 days. And if he dies, he goes to hell. And then the same thing. So this is repeated for up to 3 times. Then the Prophet allegedly says, this is nonsense, blasphemous. And it's really, it's a shame. I mean, and it's made up against our Prophet, but nevertheless, that he then allegedly said that if the person returns after 3 times to drinking alcohol, kana haqqan ala Allahi, that it is really a duty upon God that he will make him drink. Right, this is drink min radghat al-khabal. And the Sahaba said, what's radghat al-khabal? And allegedly the Prophet said, usara to ahlin nar. So you know the people melting away in the hellfire. You know the kind of stew that is being made by all their melting. That the stew of the hellfire. That usara, that kind of what's being squeezed into the hellfire. This guy is going to get that to drink. This is an utterly unacceptable hadith, right? Utterly unacceptable. So what are some of the problems? Where is this hadith transmitted? This hadith is transmitted in Ibn Majah, 1 riwayah, 3 riwayahs of it in Nasa'i, 4 riwayahs of it in the Musnad of Ahmad, 1 riwayah of it in Darimi. Those are the books. First of all of these hadith come through just one companion. One companion, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, is allegedly the person who said this. That's it. No other companion. Think about it, such a major thing. Salah not being accepted, dying, going to hell. Nobody else knows this. Just Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. Then pretty much from him, only one person, pretty much, I mean there's some other names, I'll go on to them, but mainly in the bulk of all of these narrations, is this person called Abdullah ibn Fayruz ad-Daylami. Abdullah ibn Fayruz ad-Daylami is allegedly transmitting this. He's the main transmitter of this in most of all of these narrations. There's 1-2 variations, I'll mention them, but it comes through this Abdullah ibn Fayruz ad-Daylami. Now, who is this person? They say, oh, he's the brother of so-and-so. And is he reliable? Oh, yeah, he's reliable. Why? Because he's transmitting from... No, but who said he's reliable? How does he become... There's a system to make him reliable. Ibn Hazm mentions this guy is unknown. We don't even know who this guy is. See, this is the problem with some of the muhaddithin. To justify their bid'ah, you know, to justify their careers and their work and what they invested in. they just certify certain people. Because otherwise they feel that that this wouldn't work. But Ibn Hazm highlights like, look, this guy's majhul. And he's the main transmitter of this through the one. Right, so okay. Then from him, you have Rabi'a ibn Yazid al-Iyadi, who people say is a reliable scholar, but many people say, by the way, some people have said, by the way, when he transmits from Ibn Daylami, there's actually a person in the middle called Abu Ishaq who's called Abu Idris, al-Khawlani. Right now, so this Khawlani, Abu Idris al-Khawlani is between them. Now but he drops him, or somebody before him drops him, and in none of the chains from Rabi'a to Ibn Fayruz al-Daylami is this guy mentioned. But then, in this chain before him, you've got Al-Walid ibn Muslim. Walid ibn Muslim. This guy used to transmit from so many du'afa people, so many weak people. He would on purpose drop people in the chain. This guy was kathiru tadlis and taswiya. Even if you shift this chain, let's say you go to the sanad in Darmi, it's transmitted, Darmi begins from Muhammad ibn Yusuf al-Faryabi. Right, so who, by the way, Abu Hatim says he transmitted this hadith. Abu Hatim al-Razi says Faryabi transmitted the hadith that having nose hair prevents you from having leprosy. That ash-sha'ru fil anf, that this was amanun min judham. He then says that then later in life he backtracked and said, no, I'm not, it's not true. Yahya ibn Ma'in would say that hadith is absolute kidh. It's absolute utter lie. It is a lie made up against the Prophet. The Prophet never said anything like this. So you've got people like Faryabi, and then the same chain, you've got Awza'i. By the way, even Awza'i, even though he's a great imam in fiqh, great imam, and he does transmit hadith, what does Bayhaqi say about him? He says he transmits hadith from people. He says يحتج بأحاديث بحديث من لم يقف على حاله. So you take hadith from people who we didn't know so well about their circumstances. You go to the hadiths in Ahmad, once again the same kind of chains from Ibn Daylami, right? Then you've got another one. Okay, what about those which ain't from Ibn Daylami? So in the Musnad of Ahmad, you've got one from Amr ibn Shu'ayb an Abihi an Jaddi. Now this chain, Yahya ibn Ma'in says, La hujjata fihi, that this is, and Abu Zur'a says that this is basically Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As's grandson, who used to, Abu Zur'a says, used to have a book he used to transmit from. This chain is such a weak chain where he says, from my father, from my grandfather. So you've got that. The rest, you're going to say that, oh, what about, there's another chain with Nafi ibn Asim transmitting from Abdullah ibn Amr. Oh, but who's in the beginning of the chain? It's Hamad ibn Salma al-Basri. What does Bayhaqi and other people say about him? Oh, his memory got messed up. Right? This is why Bukhari refused to transmit from him. The other hadith in Ahmad, once again from Ibn Daylami, answered the same thing before. You've got the other riwayat from Nasa'i. Once again, you've got them from Daylami. Now there is another variation from Mujahid. Now somebody may say, oh, what about that narration? That has Yazid ibn Abi Ziyad in it, who Hakim, Bayhaqi, Abu Zur'a al-Razi, Nasa'i, all these people have rejected. Right? So the point is, let alone others, there's Kalam in Mujahid himself, but my point is that these narrations, people, then there's another chain in Nasa'i which has Baqiyya in it, who everybody knows Baqiyya ibn al-Walid and the problems with him, and let alone then he has the same problems. You've got the same Ibn Daylami and this same chain. The point is that these narrations are absolutely isolated. They contradict the Quran. They contradict our beliefs in Islam. A person by drinking alcohol, and if he dies, does not go to hell. We do not believe that. Muslims generally do not believe. So this hadith cannot be true. And it is a matter of belief. And therefore it clashes with the Quran. It clashes with our principles. And it clashes with reason. That why, just because of that one sin, Allah would throw him in the hellfire. As in, he's clearly destined for hell. Because it says, then he's definitely going to hell. So that doesn't make any sense. It is a hadith da'if, people, okay? Unacceptable. So the fasts, the salah is valid still. And if, once again, things like alcohol and drugs are bad, they are wrong, they are haram. On drugs, it depends. Drugs is a spectrum. Some drugs may not be haram, but they're still bad for people. I mean, there's still something that we condemn. Now, that said, they do none of these things violate the... I mean, if you've had them, that doesn't mean you can't fast. It doesn't mean your fast won't be accepted. That's what I want to say. Cool, people. Well, we've stretched this on quite a bit. What I'm going to